We live in a world filled with relationship advice videos. Scroll through TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, and you'll hear 100 people telling you what it means when someone doesn't text back, cancels plans, or pulls away. There'll be titles like, "Cut them off," "They're just not that into you," or "Never give someone a second chance." But here's the problem. A lot of this advice assumes you know what's really going on in the other person's life. And in reality, you usually don't. What if the ghosting wasn't about you? What if their silence came from depression, or their flakiness came from ADHD? What if the signals you thought were rejection were actually exhaustion, grief, or trauma? Today we're going to look at how often these trendy bits of advice get it wrong, and how you might approach things differently if you want a deeper, more compassionate connection. Popular advice thrives on simplicity. If they don't text you back, move on. If they cancel twice, they don't respect you. And sure, sometimes that's true. But human beings aren't simple. Life is messy. Someone might not text you back because they're lying in bed in a fog of depression, not because they don't care. ADHD adds even more confusion. A person may genuinely want to see you, but forget to reply, double book themselves, or panic about running late. To you, that looks like disinterest. To them, it's just another day of battling their executive function. So the one-size-fits-all advice, it can cause you to walk away from someone who actually valued you, but couldn't show it in the way that you expected. Let's bring in some real research. Depression doesn't just make someone sad. It flattens motivation and warps perception. The brain's reward system literally struggles to activate. So reaching out, showing up, or even replying to a text can feel like climbing a mountain. ADHD impacts working memory and attention. That means a person can care about you and still forget to answer. They can want to meet and still show up late, or cancel because time got away from them. Grief floods the nervous system. Studies show that people in grief often display avoidant behaviors, not because they don't care, but because their mind is overloaded. So if you're reading their actions without understanding the underlying conditions, you're likely to misread them completely. Let me give you some scenarios. A woman doesn't reply to a goodnight text. Trendy advice says, "She's ignoring you, move on." Reality? She cried herself to sleep after putting her kids to bed, drained from a divorce. A man cancels coffee twice. Advice says, he doesn't respect your time. And in reality, he has ADHD and underestimated how long his other commitments would take. Someone goes silent for a few days. Advice says they're ghosting you. But in reality, their depression spiked and they shut down socially. These situations don't excuse hurtful behavior, but they do explain it. An explanation changes how you respond. So how do you handle this without falling into endless waiting or self-sacrifice? First, don't assume. When silence happens, pause before deciding what it means. Second, adjust your lens. Instead of, they don't care, try, what might they be carrying right now? Third, match effort, not excuses. You don't have to chase, but you also don't have to cut them off. If they step forward, meet them. If they don't, step back. This creates balance. Compassion without being a doormat. Now here's the caution. You don't want to swing so far into compassion that you tolerate being treated poorly forever. ADHD, depression, grief, these explain behaviors, but they don't make endless waiting healthy. If you're drained, if you're the only one trying, if the relationship never leaves the phone, then you are enabling, not helping. At some point, you have to say, I care about you, but I also care about myself. If you're not able to build this with me, I need to step back. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are self-respect. Stoic philosophy tells us to accept what we can't control. That's powerful, but even here, it can be misapplied. Some people use Stoic advice like, detach, don't feel, just move on. That's not real Stoicism. Real Stoicism says, accept reality as it is, then act with wisdom and virtue. Sometimes wisdom means stepping back. Sometimes wisdom means patience. It depends upon the person in front of you. Which brings us back to the danger of trendy advice. It assumes every person is the same. Stoicism, practiced well, reminds us that every situation deserves thought, not knee-jerk reactions. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever thought someone was ghosting you, only to later find out they were battling depression or grief? Have you misread silence as rejection when it was really overwhelm? On the other side, have you ever used depression or ADHD as an explanation to excuse someone who really wasn't showing up for you? Drop your stories in the comments, because these situations are messy, and hearing from real people can help us all understand them better. And if this video is hitting home, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a new perspective. In conclusion, when someone pulls away, trendy advice tells you to cut them off immediately. Sometimes that's right, but sometimes you're reading signals without context. Depression, ADHD, grief, trauma, these signs can turn good people inconsistent. They can make them warm one day and silent the next. That doesn't mean you tolerate endless hurt, but it does mean you pause before making assumptions. The real wisdom is in balance. Be compassionate, but set boundaries. Be patient, but don't wait forever. And always, always protect your own peace.